It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host, Jake Sheff, going over all of the biggest news and events from right here in greater West Bloomfield. The West Bloomfield Lakers begin their playoff run tomorrow night against the Brighton Bulldogs. Will they be able to use their recent momentum to make a statement, or will their dreams of football glory end early? We're certainly hoping for the former, but we'll have to wait and see tomorrow night. Nevertheless, the Lakers are focused and ready to score some points in this very important game. Tyler Keefe from our team recently spoke with one of the Lakers' star players, Cameron Hall, to hear what he's preparing himself for in this all-important game.
Alongside Cameron Hall, I'm Tyler Keefe. Hall, a sophomore at West Bloomfield High School, wide receiver, played a little bit of running back in recent weeks also, and on the special teams front. So a little bit all over the field, but really an all-around athlete. As you came into this season, your first as a starter on the varsity squad, what were some of your goals in terms of being able to be an immediate contributor in a very solid program?
Honestly, my goals were to we had great receivers last year, as in Elijah Durham, Cam Flowers. My goal was to just try to step in their shoes. My goal was to try to be even better than those players were last year. And since I am only a sophomore, my goal is to show other people why I am a sophomore starting on varsity and why my coaches trusted me to be in the position I am right now.
Now, you mentioned Elijah and Cam Flowers, and then we think back to some of the great receivers of the past, like Trey Mosley. And there's always that next guy in line that steps up from one year to the next. As you've been one of those guys to do that this year, as the youngest in the receiving corps that's been getting consistent reps, do you feel any sort of pressure from that, or is it a sense of pride that now you're in that line and you're going to have your shot?
Honestly, it's not pressure. It's more of a sense of pride, just because I know the history of the West Bloomfield receivers, and now that I'm in that spot, it's more of pride and not feeling any pressure.
And so as the season began, the first 3 or 4 weeks, it was a bit of a slow burn for you. The first couple of weeks, you had 2 targets in week 1, 0 in week 2, and then week 3, you went back to 2. And then your carries were kind of variable, 8 in week 3, but 7 in those first 2 weeks. Now you're a consistent target. What do you believe has put you in that position to now be someone that offensive coordinator Ken Rise, head coach Zach Hilbers, and your quarterbacks in Jamal and Jackson look to on a play-by-play basis?
Honestly, it's just I would say in practice every day, I'm trying to get first reps. I'm trying to get the most reps I can, and my coaches are seeing that. I'm making plays every practice, and I'm giving my coaches the ability to trust me even more. So we take it back to that Oxford game, where probably my best game of the season. That's really when everything bursted off after that. I'm getting consistently reps and consistent carries, and I would just say it starts in practice.
That's a tough game, too, going into Oxford, playing on their homecoming night, the way that game progressed, kind of being back and forth, big momentum swings, ending the way that it did. That's kind of an early test in your career as a sophomore, to go into that environment, have that sort of result both personally and from a team standpoint as you go forward in your career. How do you see something like that maybe being a turning point where does it then click to you what it takes to be a really rock-solid varsity football player at this level?
Yeah, honestly, that game really kind of opened my eyes, because we were undefeated going into that game, and I kind of had a big head, thinking we would just beat this team. But then the outcome of the game was we lost, and it really made me just think okay, this is really a season. We can lose any game here from on out. And yeah, that game really just opened my eyes for the season, since that was my first loss on varsity.
And it was a game that opened a lot of the players' eyes to exactly what needs to happen on this team for them to be successful in 2025. The Lakers lost 2 consecutive games to Oxford and Clarkston. Their only 2 losses of the entire season. And now Oxford also finishing the season 7-2. Both teams are in the playoffs. Oxford a little bit higher in the points total as a result of that particular game. We're joined by Cam Hall, West Bloomfield Lakers sophomore, on this 7-2 team, now playoff bound. Their first playoff game will happen this Friday at the Swamp when they will host the Brighton Bulldogs in the pre-district round in the MHSAA Division I playoffs. Looking at this receiving core, it's an elderly team. They got a couple of seniors leading the charge at 1 and 2 in Willie Edwards and Joel Davis. You really are the youngest player in that crop of wide receivers. So, frankly, it goes without saying, after the season concludes, you're the leader in that room. So as the season has progressed, as we've gotten closer to the end of the regular season, now as we're in the playoff time, how do you shift your focus from your own development to also establishing yourself as a leader in the wide receiver room and a leader of that offense?
Honestly, a lot of teams know that we don't really throw the ball that much. So I usually speak to the receivers like every game. Like, you know, our opportunities are limited, but when we have the opportunity to make a play, we have to make plays. And that's something that we all go about. Like, when we have the opportunity to make a play, we have to make that play. And that's really been like our memo this season, is that when we get the opportunity to make a play, we have to make it, and we have to capitalize on our limited opportunities.
And it's starting to catch on also. Last few weeks, been a little bit of a slow go in the receiving game as the season came to a close. But last week, Willie Edwards, senior wide receiver, came back with 2 touchdowns after a little bit of a drought. Joel Davis in recent weeks picked up another one of his own receiving touchdowns on the season. And guys like Cam, Shannon, Rayvon continue to have very consistent games all throughout the second half of the regular season as that receiving core starts to get a little bit back into the mix. So now as you look toward the end of this season, you start to think about the future of the team as well, while you're also developing toward winning a state championship. So for you as an emerging leader on this team, how do you maintain that balance of thinking toward the future, developing with the young players on this team, while also soaking in those last opportunities to learn from a group of very experienced seniors who've seen a lot of competitive football?
Honestly, I really listen to like what every senior say, not even just the receivers, just all our captains and our seniors. I really listen to what they say, and I just really take that in, just so I know that next year, like that is going to be like my position. I'm going to be one of the leaders, and I really just take in what they say, and I'm going to try to use that for next year so I can be in a better position for being an emerging captain as next year.
In terms of this team, going into the playoffs, round 1 against Brighton coming up, that's no easy matchup. Catholic Central and Heartland would be whomever you'd match up with should you get through Brighton on Friday night. And then from there, familiar foes in Oxford and Clarkston, possibly a matchup with Davison down the line. It's going to be a tough go of it as you go throughout this playoffs. But you're in that locker room every day. You're on the field with the team practicing every day. You're in the weight room and outside today and other days throughout the week. What about this team do you believe makes it still have that championship potential that can go up against a very deep Division I in 2025?
Honestly, just our leadership is at an all-time high. I've never seen anything like it, even though I'm only a sophomore. And literally teams or like other high school teams that I've seen, I've never seen leadership like this. And just the togetherness of our team, our brotherhood, how much of like a whole we are. I've never seen anything like it. Just the leadership vibe, the locker room vibe, everything is just at an all-time high. And something that motivates our whole team to looking into this playoff, because something that we say is that a lot of people are counting us out just because we're not the favorites. So we're using what other people are saying to try to motivate us so we can get through these hard games, as in our CCs, our Oxfords, our Clarksons, or whoever we will face in the playoffs. We're using the motivation and what other people are saying to try to push us farther.
Best of luck to the West Bloomfield Lakers in their first playoff game of the season. And you can stay up to date with all of the updates with the West Bloomfield Lakers on civiccentertv.com/Lakersports. One of the biggest construction projects in West Bloomfield is now underway, as West Bloomfield Fire Station number 1 has officially closed its doors for a full renovation, with work set to conclude around this time next year. Yesterday, the fire station released a farewell video to their old station while also providing some visuals on what their new one will look like. Here's that video now.
Radio from Engine 1, please.
Engine 1.
Radio, after 53 years of service in the community, Station 1 is closing for renovation until it reopens to serve our community again in the near future. Engine 1 and Rescue 1 are ready for reassignment.
Message received, Engine 1. Fire Station 1 is closed for renovation at 8:40 hours on October 24th, 2025. Radio to Battalion 1.
Go for Battalion 1.
Battalion 1, Rescue 1, and Engine 1 personnel are awaiting assignments.
Message received. Engine 1 personnel will be assigned to Tower 5. Rescue 1 will be assigned to Station 2.
Several new features and additions with this new fire station that will make everybody in Greater West Bloomfield safer and make life just a little bit better. Fire Chief Greg Flynn went into more detail on what this new station will entail during a recent conversation on the Splash Live with our own Tyler Kieft.
Chief, thank you for joining us today.
Tyler, I love that intro, a destination place. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. I appreciate having you on and glad to have you on to talk about this because the renovation process is now getting underway this week as Fire Station 1 makes its final preparations to undergo this massive renovation. So as we get to that point, as I mentioned, Fire Station number 1 during this renovation, while it's not entirely tearing the building down, that building will be out of service. So I would guess the top question on the mind of those in West Bloomfield Township and the surrounding areas would be how is that personnel and the apparatus being divvied up amongst the rest of the township to continue service as is while Fire Station number 1 is not in service?
Well, it's very difficult to make any improvements and keep service as is, Tyler. So there will be modifications. The Station 1 crew will, right now our plan is the station will be closing at the end of the week. We are ready to move into some testing for some abatement and some items. You know, when these stations were built and buildings were constructed decades ago, the asbestos and some other materials that need to be abated before we can do that renovation. All that needs to take place. So we'll be exiting late this week. That will move in and we'll start doing that testing. But rest assured, we've been planning for this. The rescue is going to move down to Fire Station number 2. So we'll be running 2 ambulances, 2 rescues out of Fire Station 2. And the engine crew will be moving over to Fire Station 5, where we know we have the tower. So we'll be running multiple pieces of fire suppression apparatus out of Fire Station 5.
And we know this is going to be quite a significant renovation of the fire station. It's going to bring it into more of a modern setting for your firefighters and also for the response that both West Bloomfield has in the township proper and in the Tri-Cities, but also within the Oakway Partnership as well. And so as these renovations are going on, how long on paper, hopefully with everything going exactly the way it's been planned, can we expect Fire Station number 1 to be out of service?
I think the paper aspect has us probably about this time next year. So I think we're looking at close to a 12-month renovation process. I am confident with the team that they will achieve that mark, if not even able to kind of move that along and see a little bit more of a shorter time with that. So with any renovation, the challenge is the construction team will likely come across some things that weren't accurately depicted in the drawings or some kind of underground infrastructure that was thought to be in better condition. And then those things will have to be addressed along the way. And then whatever kind of global or kind of regional issues that develop over the course of the renovation, those things will impact the time too. But we're going to remain engaged. Would love to be able to come on to the Splash and give some updates and really keep everybody up to date on the progress and really this exciting project as they see it unfold as they pass by on Orchard Lake Road.
And it's a pretty big moment for the fire department, and it's also really significant to to represent the investment in public safety that the residents of West Bloomfield and the Tri-Cities have put into the West Bloomfield Fire Department, which also represents Kegel Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and Orchard Lake with their fire service as well. And so among all the recent renovations that have been made and improvements, new apparatus, of course, the recent renovations at another nearby fire station. Now fire station number 1 undergoes these renovations. Why was now the right time for fire station number 1 to undergo some of these changes?
Fire Station 1 has been in the capital improvement plan for years now. It started probably 4 or 5 years ago with planning for a needs assessment. Then the needs assessment in the 2022-2023 range took place. And even before that, the township did a more comprehensive needs assessment throughout all of the buildings within the township, the 9 physical structures, 6 at fire, town hall, police, and water and sewer. So kind of shouldering those, the majority of those buildings, and that we use them 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Station 1 built in the early 70s, and that's back when the department was a volunteer department. And the needs have changed greatly over the decades, Tyler. And Trustee Manna brought up in the meeting the dissenting vote moving forward, but he highlighted his why. And I think it's important that this isn't something that falls deaf on the fire chief or on the team that was designing. We know it's expensive to renovate a building, and we know that it's even more expensive for a multitude of reasons within government to do that. So I really want to instill a high degree of confidence with our residents that the thoughtfulness and the purposeful design components, the training tower that's going in there, how that's connecting with the community, the fire club that you've highlighted on this program. We really are looking for every single way we can take every square foot of that building and ensure that the residents know and see the value and feel that value that they're getting from those tax dollars that they trust us with. So that is not something that we take lightly, and that's why I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk about the station and the things that you're highlighting here and showing some of those renderings. It's going to be a beautiful building. That's another component of it. It's in a very high vis area there on Orchard Lake Road, and it says a lot about our community when our municipal buildings are striking and speak to the presence within the community.
And then, as you mentioned, we'll get back to some of the community aspects of the plans with this renovation, but you mentioned just a moment ago that when this station was built, fire station number 1 and all of our other fire stations, they were occupied as a volunteer fire department. It's much different of a paradigm than when you have a full-time employee fire department that's serving not only West Bloomfield Township but several other communities as well in its main service area, and then also providing partnerships to neighboring municipalities through the Oakway Collective as well. And so as these changes are undergoing, what were some of the key elements that are going into fire station number 1 that we'll see come a year or so from now when it reopens that are really critical to continuing that top-notch care, top-notch service that people expect from the West Bloomfield Fire Department?
Well, a big part in delivering and meeting those expectations within the community is having all of those resources strategically placed throughout the community. And Fire Station 1 is underutilized for its ability to store caches of equipment because of its lack of space. So in the design and some of my comments and within the Planning Commission and in front of the board and with updates to come, you'll notice a mezzanine area where we're able to store equipment and things that we'll need for response throughout the community. That will include the continued placement of apparatus with the drive-through bays in that area, which make it Orchard Lake Road's access north and south within the community and into surrounding communities. The workforce impact in hitting one of our objectives of supporting our very diverse workforce, that is going to be achieved by the move that's been, you saw this in the design of Fire Station 3, where we create the individual dorm rooms where there's a sense of privacy and quiet that our first responders can have. We know this helps to encourage resilience within their, not just the space for their physical wellness, but for their emotional wellness too. The kitchen space is, speaking of physical wellness, some improvements within that living space and the food prep area and kind of where they are for 24 hours a day. Just like your kitchen is a focal point within many of our residents' homes, so too is the kitchen at the fire station. There's some nuances all around the exterior of the building. We've got a space outside now, just like people enjoy having that space to go out and enjoy the Michigan seasons. We're going to have that now at Fire Station 1, something we haven't had in the past. And then the last thing I'll highlight here in the time is the training tower, Tyler. And this is a multi-story training tower, being able to go through evolutions of rappelling down the side of the training tower, affecting rescues off of balconies. It takes you back to images of the Heckman fire. All of these things that we know are within the community. We practice how we need to play. And we've built those elements into the training tower, and we've built elements into the apparatus room so we can train inside the facility year round.
And you mentioned earlier on, lastly, before we let you go, because it's on Orchard Lake Road, right in the heart of West Bloomfield Township, it is such a highly visible area near the high school, near the Crosswinds shopping mall at Orchard Lake and Lone Pine that gets so much foot traffic throughout the day. And in an area where people are walking all throughout all seasons of the year, that high visibility was also incorporated into this plan with some community spaces also on the docket for the renovations. Give us a quick overview of that and how community engagement also factored in to the new outlook for Fire Station number 1.
Well, there's definitely going to be more to come on this, because this isn't just being designed for a space for the community to engage. This is being designed for a space for the community to participate in, and building in memorial stones and things like that that will come in the weeks and months ahead as we release that. But it is what we're kind of referring to right now is the Firefighter Memorial Plaza. And you'll divert kind of off of the main sidewalk. We're going to take our 9/11 steel that has been in the training room and occasionally comes out to the big Friday night public safety hero salute game with the Lakers. That's going to be permanently placed out for the public with a very respectful stone podium and pedestal that will be on. There'll be an interactive kind of toddler size space where parents can kind of let their children out of the stroller for a little bit of break, stretch their legs, and interact with some things along that memorial walk, that plaza. So we're excited about that. It's going to be beautiful. More to come on some of those renderings as we really dial in the key components of that. But we're excited, and you're going to start seeing things happen as early as next week with the renovation starting and moving into the initial phases.
Well, we'll keep up to date with you and continue to communicate with the fire department here on Splash Live to see those renovations as they are undergoing and as the new Fire Station number 1 comes into play. Chief Flynn, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Lots of big changes and developments coming to West Bloomfield, and lots to look forward to with the West Bloomfield Fire Department. So we really appreciate Chief Greg Flynn for joining us on the Splash Live. In case you missed it, DTE Energy is offering a rebate program to offset both the purchase and installation cost of an eligible Level 2 EV charger at home. All of this is to help make Greater West Bloomfield a more eco-friendly place, and of course having that spread all throughout Oakland County, Michigan, and beyond. Milena Kabashi, the manager of transportation electrification with DTE Energy, recently joined us on the Splash Live to tell us more about this program. Milena, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me here today.
Absolutely. It's a great conversation. It's a very eco-friendly conversation. A lot of people are very, very curious about this. So I'll jump right into it. What inspired DTE Energy to launch the Home EV Charger Rebate Program, and what would you say are its main goals?
Yeah, great question. The home EV charger rebate program was inspired by our commitment to making EV ownership more accessible and affordable. Our main goals are to cover the upfront cost of installing a home EV charger for our low income customers and also encourage more people to switch to EVs and ultimately contributing to a cleaner and greener Michigan.
Great, and we are seeing a lot more electric vehicles on the roads, especially within the last few years. Could you walk us through how the rebate program works from application to installation?
Absolutely. And the process is quite straightforward. If you qualify as an income eligible customer, you first, as a customer, you would purchase or lease an EV and install a qualified level 2 Energy Star certified EV charger at the home. Then the customer can apply for the rebate online by providing proof of purchase and installation. Once the application is approved, the customer receives a rebate that can cover the cost of the charger and the installation. It's that simple. We also offer a home EV charger installation program that provides a free online installation quote and handles the permitting and installation process, making it even easier for our customers.
It sounds like a very easy program. And with something like this, how would you say that this program makes electric vehicle ownership more accessible for families in Greater West Bloomfield?
Yeah, for income eligible customers, by covering the upfront cost of installing home EV chargers, our program makes it easier for families to switch to electric vehicles. And this is especially important in areas like Greater West Bloomfield, where many residents are looking for ways to reduce the carbon footprint and save on fuel costs. And with a rebate, families can enjoy the benefits of EV ownership while also saving money on the cost of the EV charger and professional installation.
Interesting. Now, of course, other companies also have rebate programs, also dedicated to helping electric vehicle incentives. What would you say makes this one unique compared to some of those other programs in Michigan?
Yeah, great question. What sets our program apart is our comprehensive approach. Not only do we offer financial incentives, but we also provide educational resources and support to help customers understand the benefits of EVs. Why should they really care about EVs and how to make the most of the new chargers and the available incentives and rebates. Additionally, our program is designed to support low-income households and renters, ensuring that we break down barriers to adoption and create more opportunities to participate in the transition to cleaner transportation.
For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, I'm talking with Transportation Electrification Manager for DTE Energy, Milena Kabashi, talking about the DTE Energy rebate program that is currently in effect for owners and drivers of electric vehicles. Now, Milena, are there specific benefits for households that might have tighter budgets or lower income levels that are also looking to participate?
Yeah, indeed, absolutely. We understand that the initial cost of switching to an EV can be a barrier for some households. And that's why we offer additional, more robust rebates and incentives for low-income customers. In addition to the home EV charger rebate, we also provide rebates up to $14,400 per level 2 port for income-eligible multifamily properties and up to $70,000 per charger for en-route public DC fast charging in rural communities and disadvantaged communities. And so these programs really help low-income customers save money on their transportation costs by reducing the upfront costs of EVs and charging infrastructure. And by adopting EVs, customers can really benefit from lower fuel and maintenance costs compared to the traditional ICE or gasoline vehicles. Additionally, these initiatives contribute to a more sustainable environment by reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And here at DTE, we also provide a lot of educational resources and outreach programs to help customers understand the benefits of EVs and how to make the most of the available resources.
I love that. I mean, especially with a program like this where you're wanting to cut back on a lot of those harmful gases that traditional cars emit. And with the rise of electric vehicles, it's good that you're making it so that everybody is able to participate in this program and that everybody can help do their part to help make the world a cleaner place. And I am curious, what has been the response? What have you seen from West Bloomfield area residents so far with this rebate program?
Yeah, I would say the response has been very positive. Looking at the historical participation from residents in West Bloomfield area, we can tell that they're very excited about the opportunity to switch to electric vehicles and take advantage of the rebates and incentives that we have available and we're offering. We've seen robust participation in a number of applications for the rebate program with about 400 residential customers participating, and we've had over 60 public charger rebates. The first commercial EV site in West Bloomfield participating in our rebate program was completed back in May of 2021, but since then we've provided rebates for about 64 public level 2 chargers, charger ports totaling roughly about 132,000 that we've been able to give back to the community in form of rebates. The largest site that we've seen participating with our commercial EV charger rebate program was for 40 level 2 chargers at a multi-unit property. We've also supported projects ranging from large hospitals, schools, along with workplace and retail locations. So definitely lots of excitement around EVs.
Sounds like it. And it sounds like this program has already made such an impact in West Bloomfield. Of course, we want to see this sustained. We want to see this in the future. So how do you see this rebate program shaping the future of local infrastructure and sustainability initiatives?
Yeah, our rebate program is really just one part of our broader efforts to promote sustainability and improve local infrastructure. By encouraging more people to switch to EVs, we are helping to decrease greenhouse emissions, and this really in turn supports the development of a cleaner and more sustainable energy grid. Additionally, the increased use of EVs will drive the need for more charging infrastructure, which will further support the growth of clean energy initiatives in the area.
I love it. And Milena, I'm curious, how would you say this program can help West Bloomfield become a leader in clean energy and EV adoption?
Yeah, by making EV ownership more accessible and affordable, our program is helping to position West Bloomfield as a leader in clean energy and EV adoption. The community's enthusiastic response to the program really demonstrates a strong commitment to sustainability, but also willingness to embrace new technologies. And as more residents switch over to EVs and take advantage of our rebates and incentives, West Bloomfield will serve as a model for other communities that are looking to promote clean energy and reduce their carbon footprint. We also provide businesses with EV charger rebates, so then they too can also participate in helping getting West Bloomfield on the charger map.
That's right. Everybody is doing their part. Once again, Milena Kabashi, the manager of transportation electrification with DTE Energy, is joining us on the Splash Live to talk about the DTE Energy electric vehicle rebate program. I got a couple more questions before we wrap things up, Milena. What advice would you give to residents who are maybe a little bit curious about switching to an EV, but maybe feel a little intimidated by the costs and by the process?
Yeah, so my advice would be take advantage of the resources that are available through our program. Start by exploring the rebates and incentives we offer. Visit our webpage, which all of these available resources can significantly reduce the upfront cost of switching to an EV. Additionally, don't hesitate to reach out to our team. We have a dedicated EV team that is ready and available for guidance and assistance. We're here to help make the transition as smooth and as affordable as possible. And remember, switching to an EV not only benefits the environment, but can also save customers money on fuel and maintenance costs in the long run. And we know that EVs and sustainability are beneficial for everyone, regardless of income level. And by adopting EVs and participating in these programs, folks can reduce their transportation costs and improve the comfort of their homes with affordable and efficient charging solutions. A couple of points I want to make here.
Of course.
EV fuel is produced in Michigan by Michiganders, which stimulates local and statewide economy. And additionally, residential customers that we've seen that are current EV owners and are able to charge at home overnight or off-peak, where the car naturally dwells in your garage, and participating with one of our DTE time-of-day rate plans are paying the e-gallon equivalent, what we're seeing on average about $1 a quarter a gallon, which allows them to save money on fuel and spend it in other ways. And lastly, widespread adoption of EVs helps to create a cleaner and more efficient energy grid, which really is benefiting the entire community.
Well, we love to see how much this program is benefiting the community, and we thank DTE Energy for providing all these great resources. You touched on it just a second ago, Milena, but real quick, where can people go to gain a little more information about this program?
Yeah, absolutely. Our residential customers can visit dteenergy.com/EVs or EV. Our business customers or commercial customers can visit dteenergy.com/EVBiz.
That's the place to go, and that's the place where you can gain more information to help make your mark in helping to make the world a cleaner place. Milena, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Splash Live.
Thank you so much for having me, and looking forward to seeing you drive an EV.
Great to have Milena on the program to tell us more about this rebate program. Hope to see that have such an impact in the community and help it to become a much more eco-friendly place. Storied, the reggae session, is the fourth installment of the Storied Cultural Arts series presented at the Berman Center for the Performing Arts. Featuring reggae artist Matisse Yahoo, this session features reggae music as a lens through which to explore and celebrate Jewish culture and its intersection with the genre. The event is scheduled for this Saturday, November 1st at 8 p.m. And joining us to tell us more about the event is the founder of the Storied Foundation, Benji Rosenzweig. Benji, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Of course, glad to have you with us on the show today. And this sounds like such a great event that is going to be coming up for everybody to enjoy. What can you tell us about this event that's coming up on November 1st?
Yeah, so Storied was started as an opportunity to look at the Jewish contribution that the Jews have had to music artists and to music movements. So the first show we did was about the Beatles. It's the shirt I'm wearing. We did a show about grunge. We've done a show about the Grateful Dead, and this show is about reggae. And the idea is really to highlight positive stories about Jews in the Jewish community and where we've had these major contributions to this wonderful music that people feel really nostalgic about and really just brings joy. A friend of mine asked me a couple of weeks ago if the purpose was to build bridges between the Black and the Jewish community with this show. And I said, no, it's not to build bridges. It's to shine a light on the bridges that already exist so that we can use them more.
That's a great way to look at things. And yes, music is such a phenomenal way to help bring everybody together. So this event is certainly going to bring that message across in a great way. And like I said, Matisse Yahoo is going to be the performer at this event. What made you decide on him to be the performer for something like this?
That's a great question. So first off, this is not a Bob Marley cover show. We will have a lot of Marley presence in the show, but we're going to be going deep with a lot of really beloved musicians and a lot of beloved songs. As well, included in that is some of Matisse Yahoo's music. And Matisse Yahoo is really probably the foremost crossover in the Jewish and reggae world. And so he was an obvious fit. it was a no-brainer to make the ask, and we were thrilled that he and his team were excited about what we're doing here at Storied. And so he said yes. And, this partnership between the Storied Foundation and the Berman Theater at the J is just a perfect fit to bring somebody like Matisyahu to participate in an event like this for the community.
Glad to hear it, and it sounds like he's going to put on quite a show for everybody. Now, of course, along with the music, there's going to be a lot of storytelling with an event like this. How do you find that balance between the music and storytelling for something like Storied?
Great question. So our format, I tell people, is kind of like VH1 Storytellers meets MTV Unplugged. So, but it's live and through the Jewish lens. So I tell a story about a song or the writing or the contributor, and then the band plays a song. And so it's about 3 to 5 minutes of story and then 3 to 5 minutes of song, and it goes back and forth throughout the night. So we've got 14 stories and 14 songs for this show. It's going to be 2 sets with a short set break in the middle of it. But we're going to talk about everything from the origins of ideas like Babylon and Zion and those overlap, to the numerous biblical references from Psalms to Exodus to Ezekiel that are in reggae music and reggae and Rastafarian theology, and then talking about some of the Jewish people who contributed to the scene, from Chris Blackwell to Lee Jaffe and numerous people in between, even Bob Dylan.
All great musicians. Going to be a lot of thinking at this event, and a lot of very powerful things to take away. And you already touched on some of the things that that people can reflect on while listening to this music. How does the event explore themes of community, spirituality, and resilience through this cultural intersection?
Well, you're talking the highlight reel for this event right now. I mean, we're going to be talking about, and I'm actually going to be showing many of the themes and even direct quotes from Psalms. So we'll be talking about the themes and often direct quotes that reggae songs have from places like Psalms and places like Ezekiel and places like the Old Testament, and explore those spiritual themes and the reasons for those songs, as well as looking at the concepts of Zion, the concepts of Babylon, and how the theology of Jewish tradition and the theology of Rastafarianism really overlap on many, many subjects.
For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, I'm talking with Benji Rosenzweig, the founder of the Storied Foundation, talking about the 4th installment of the Storied Cultural Arts Series, which is going to be presented at the Berman Center for the Performing Arts on November 1st. Benji, what kind of audience do you hope to see at an event like this, both in terms of musical taste and cultural background?
It's a great question. We have a pretty diverse crowd, and I know this because people have been reaching out to me and telling me that they're excited that they're coming. We have a generous donor who bought tickets specifically. Actually, we have 2 separate generous donors who bought tickets for high school students. So we've got 20 or 30 students coming from Cass Tech High, as well as about 60 students coming from various Jewish schools like Frankel Jewish Academy, Barber, and Hillel Day School. Aside from that, we have people across the spectrum from the white community, from the black community, Jewish, Christian, Rastafarian, and everybody in between. And I'm really grateful just from the demographic of people that I've seen respond to me and tell me that they're coming to the show. There's going to be a varied mix of people across races, religions, belief systems, and ages. And that's very exciting to me.
Sounds like it. It sounds like this event is reaching a lot of different people, a lot of different groups, and everybody can take away something from Storied the Reggae Session, which I absolutely love to hear. Now, Benji, how important is it to you to highlight maybe lesser known connections between Jewish identity and reggae music?
That's a great question. The idea behind Storied is that in general, today, over the last couple of years, Jewish events have been difficult. They're hard. We are as a community grappling with some very difficult subjects and some very difficult situations for everybody. And I really wanted to highlight Jewish joy, inspiration, and positive Jewish content and positive Jewish stories. And that's why we started with the Beatles, because I know very few people who wouldn't consider themselves Beatles fans, but really focusing on different genres of music where people can find what they love and connect their Jewish story to that, or connect their Jewish identity to that. And if they're not Jewish, relate to a Jewish story or relate to a Jewish person through these stories. And so reggae is the next evolution of the storied series. And I think that it was a really good time for us to be doing reggae, because of what's going on in the world right now, and the bridges that are there that aren't being used. It was just a natural fit for us to look at reggae and say, let's have this conversation right now, and again, shine a light on the bridges that are there. We just need to use them more.
That's right. Very important conversations to be had, and we appreciate for setting up a great event to have those conversations, Benji. How do you hope that this session of Storied will impact the ongoing conversation around cultural crossover and musical innovation?
Well, I've long believed that we have more in common than we have that separates us. And if we focus on the things that separate us and make us different from each other, we can find endless reasons to hate each other, to dislike each other, to keep each other separate. But if we focus on the things that we have in common, we can find endless reasons to connect, to build community, to share stories, to share identity, to share community. And I believe in bigger tents with bigger doors and bigger tables. And I hope that Storied is really part of that, not just for the Jewish community, but for all communities. I hope that people can come to this show and walk away feeling inspired to talk to somebody that they don't know, and again, build bridges or use those bridges that are already there.
That's right. You've already had so many great conversations with the Storied series. You said this is the 4th installment of the series. What can you tell us, maybe some insight on what you might have planned for the next few installments of the Storied series?
So we're planning on announcing it on Saturday night at the show, but we have some big plans for 2026, and I won't go too far into detail because I want to really keep it special for the people who are at the show. But I've noticed that there have been some themes that we're missing, and we're going to address that and make sure that 2026 is really focused on some of the gaps that we have left in the first 4 shows. So I would say, follow Storied Show on Instagram or on Facebook or on YouTube, and or follow me personally, because right after the show we're going to be posting about this announcement of what we're doing in 2026, and we already have the date set, we already have the room booked, and we're pretty excited for it.
All right, leaving us with a little bit of suspense. I love it. Lots to look forward to with the Storied session. I want to thank you so much, Benji, for joining us today on The Splash. Real quick before you go, where can people go to gain a little bit more information about this upcoming performance on November 1st?
Yeah, so if you go to the Berman Theater's website, which is theberman.org, if you go to Instagram, you can follow Storied Show. I see the website is on tickets.thejdetroit.org is where you can buy tickets. And headline here is, as of right before I came on here, there was only about 50 tickets left, so it's a really low ticket count. We're anticipating that we're going to sell out, but check out Storied Show on Instagram. Check me out. I'm at Benji Rosenzweig on Instagram, and between those two, you'll find us and you'll know where to get tickets.
It's going to be a great night. Matisyahu performing at the Berman Center for the Performing Arts on November 1st with the Storied series. Benji, thank you so much for joining us today here on The Splash Live.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you.
Of course, great conversations to be had, all while bonding through the joy of music. We appreciate Benji joining us and for telling us about this incredible event going on in West Bloomfield. Plenty of things to enjoy. Each year, thousands of house fires across the United States are sparked by clogged dryer vents or neglected lint buildup, making dryer maintenance a crucial part of home safety. Regular cleaning of both the lint trap and vent line can dramatically reduce the risk of fires, improve dryer efficiency, and extend the life of the machine. Jason Carlock, the owner of Great Lakes Dryer Vent Services, recently joined us on the Splash Live to discuss this important issue. Jason, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Now, this is obviously something that you see time and time again because of your job. What are some of the most common causes of dryer fires that you tend to see in your line of work?
Well, it really boils down to whether or not the dryer has space to breathe. So if that dryer venting gets clogged or crushed or anything such as that, and you impede that flow, then the heat can't escape from the dryer as it's supposed to. So the dryer ends up getting super, super hot, and which could cause the lint inside the venting to combust and start a fire.
That's right. It really shows the importance of checking those lint traps and to make sure that the lint is removed every single time, or at least every so often. And you can see some photos right now on Civic Center TV of a recent job you did actually helping out West Bloomfield Township Clerk Debbie Binder with an incident at her home. How often should homeowners have their dryer vents professionally cleaned, and what factors might change that timeline, would you say?
Well, the industry standard as a whole is that you should get your dryer vent cleaned once a year. But I've found that not everybody has a long run. It may be a short run. So they may need it every other year just for maintenance purposes, or every 2 years. And that'll factor in once we go there and clean it out. We usually do a following year. We go there and clean it again. And that gives us an idea of how often they really should be getting it cleaned at that point.
That's right. And when people have incidents like this, who they're going to call? They're going to call you. So I'm curious if you can walk us through your process with Great Lakes Dryer Vent Services, what a typical vent cleaning usually entails.
Sure. What we do often is we go in, we check the back of the dryer, make sure the connection is connected properly, that the line isn't crushed, because folks will end up pushing their dryer back somehow, and that could pinch the, especially if it's flex back there. A lot of homeowners like the flex so they can pull their dryer out, they can clean back there, and then when they push it back, sometimes it gets crushed. So we make sure that that is clear and that there's nothing hindering that from the airflow from coming out. And then what we'll do is we'll go outside. We have specialized tools that run on air, 175 PSI. We go through with our line. It's a spinning reverse ball. So what that does is it kind of propels that line almost like a rocket to get through all the bends and the turns. And then we pull all the debris outside like you saw in those photos. And then we clean that up. We do an airflow test to make sure that it is now venting properly and that it's safe to use and, you know, that sort of thing. So
sounds like a very intricate process. Sorry, words are tripping me up sometimes, but a very thorough process to make sure that everybody stays safe. Now, it should be noted that maybe people don't always realize just when something might be wrong with their dryer vent until it's too late. So what are some early warning signs that a dryer vent might be clogged or unsafe?
The first thing that'll happen is that your clothes they won't dry as quickly. You'll have to run an additional cycle in order to get the clothes to dry. You may end up with lots of moisture inside the dryer. Also, another indication is most of the new dryers today, they'll give an error code, and that error code will usually tell you that there is a point of blockage that you'll need to get cleaned out in order for it to run properly. But I'd say the biggest thing is probably most people catch the fact that it is taking much longer to get their clothes dry.
Okay, that is interesting. And that shows the wonders of technology, that nowadays you can get these alerts to really showcase that something might be wrong and that something may need to be addressed. And what would you say are maybe the biggest kinds of damage or risks that can truly occur if lint buildup is ignored for too long?
Well, I've had a lot of customers that say they're on their second or even third dryer because they feel like it's the dryer that's not performing properly. So they'll call a maintenance guy. He'll come out. He'll maintain the dryer and say, oh, it's running fine. So they're incurring that cost of them, and then they have to call us. We come in, and that's an additional cost for them. So I would say that. And then as far as damage is concerned, a lot of times when the dryers are not venting properly, there's a safety feature inside the dryer that will trip sort of a breaker, if you will, that you have to get reset by a professional because it's inside the dryer. So that'll stop drying with heat, and it'll just be cool air blowing, and then your clothes don't get dry at that point.
And that's all great things that you are there to help make sure that these families stay safe. Once again, for those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, I'm talking with the owner of Great Lakes Dryer Vent Services, Jason Carlock, going through things that people might want to be aware of when it comes to dryer vents or neglected lint buildup to make sure that they don't cause any sort of house fires or any sort of disasters at the home. Now, Jason, how does professional cleaning improve not just safety, but the performance and energy efficiency of a dryer?
Right. So if your dryer is performing the way it should, then you should only have to run it on one cycle. But if you're running it on multiple cycles just to get the clothes dry, you are going to be paying extra costs in electricity or gas because you're using that more than it needs to be used. So if you're doing, let's say, 4 loads and you've got to run it, your dryer 16, 17 times just to get those loads dry, there is a cost factor to that too. It's going to cost a little more.
Yeah, 16, 17 spins, that's way too much, and that definitely does show that something might be amiss in the household. Now, Jason, what tips would you give homeowners for routine dryer care between professional cleanings to make sure that this doesn't happen again?
Yeah, well, lint is always going to get past the lint trap, but you want to make sure that in between every load, you're cleaning that lint trap very well, getting all the lint out of it. And a lot of the dryer sheets, what they do is they melt the product onto the clothes, which in turn makes them soft. So a lot of times that will bake into the venting itself. So I would just say make sure that your screen is not getting blocked up. And if for some reason the screen is getting blocked up, then what you're going to want to do is you want to soak it in hot water with a little bit of Dawn dish soap, and then make sure it's dry before you put it back in. And that should definitely help with that. And then just make sure you keep that clean all the time, that you're not running it multiple loads with the lint without emptying the lint tray. So.
All right, definitely learning a lot of information and definitely a lot of tips that people can take home with them to tackle their own dryer and to make sure that this doesn't happen at their home. But I am curious, what's the biggest misconception that people tend to have about dryer vent cleaning or dryer fire risks?
Well, I don't think it's really a misconception more than it is just out of sight, out of mind. Most dryers exit out the back of the home, the side of the home. A lot of homeowners aren't back there looking. There's multiple different venting things that you have for your furnace, for bath fans, different things like that. So you're so used to seeing them, and there's so much other sort of maintenance that you have to do on your home that people are aware of that sometimes gets forgotten. So it is important that you should, when you're doing your spring cleaning, any of that sort of thing, make sure you're going out back, looking inside, seeing if there's a lot of lint built up around the cover of the where it expels outside, you want to make sure that you give us a call or a professional a call so that they can clean it out and make sure that it's safe and it's good to use.
That is what you are here to do and here to provide for the people of Greater West Bloomfield. Jason, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Where can people go to gain a little more information to help prevent something like this from happening at their home?
Well, you can go to our website, which is greatlakesdryerventservices.com. We have links on there that you can look at. And also, you can fill out a form on there, and we'll give you a call back to get something scheduled, or even if you have any concerns, or you could just call us at 248-366-4788. That's 248-366-4788, and we pretty much answer the phone 24/7, so we can get all your questions answered at that point.
All great information to keep the residents of Greater West Bloomfield safe. Jason, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Splash Live.
Great. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
And that's going to do it for us today here on the Splash Live. Big thank you to all of our guests and for everybody on the Splash Live team for helping to make this show possible. Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV.